Good morning, everybody. I hate to break up the party. It sounds so vibrant today with all the rain and gloominess outside. But let's do some songs to sort of continue in this vein, right, of lifting each other up. And if you're so inclined, let's stand up and raise your voices as well. Oh, by the way, it is just me today. I gave the music team a well-deserved week off after all the stuff. Of course, they're right there staring at me. But we do have a couple of our auxiliary members that you're going to hear from in a little bit. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. In celebration, rise up to your joy, rise up to your elation, rise up to your love, rise up in celebration, rise up to your joy. Let's do it again, I can't hear you. Rise up to your elation. There we go. Rise up to your love, rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy, rise up to your elation, rise up to your love, rise up in celebration, rise up to your joy, feeling heart's desire, rise up to your love, soaring ever higher, rise up to your joy. Rise up to your love, dancing in the rain. Rise up, joy. Rise up to your joy. Rise up to your elation. Rise up to your love. Rise up in celebration. Rise up to your joy. Rise up, elation. Rise up to your love, rise up in celebration, rise up to your joy, digging in so deep, rise up to your love, waking from your sleep, rise up to your joy, feeling your release, rise up to your love. Rise up to your elation, rise up to your love, rise up in celebration, rise up to your joy, rise up to your elation, rise up to your love, rise up in celebration, rise up to your joy, rise up in celebration, rise up to your joy. Nice job. Here we go. If it's to be, that's good. If it's to be, it's up to me. Let's do that again. If it's to be, if it's to be, if it's to be, it's up to me. If I seek the truth, let me speak the truth. If I'm lost in doubt, let me believe. I know I can be the change I want to see. So if it's to be, if it's to be, if it's to be, it's up to me. If I'm feeling hurt, let me forgive. I know I can be the change I want to see. So if it's to be, if it's to be, if it's to be, it's up to me. If I dream of peace, let me be the peace. When I start from love, I am love. I know I can be the change I want to see. So if it's to be, if it's to be, if it's to be, it's up to me. You know it's up to me. You know it's up to me. If it's to be, you know it's up to me. Nice job.
Please take a seat and let me hear you. Good morning. Good morning. How wonderful to greet you on this very first Sunday in April. It seems incredible, but this is where we are. I would like to take a moment to remind everybody to please silence your cell phones. I also want to give a reminder that if you can remember, please refrain from conversations, while we're doing the service, because voices carry and we hear the whispers all the way here on the platform. Okay, so just a gentle reminder about that. And in addition to welcoming all of you to our spiritual home, I want to welcome those of you who are tuned in on our YouTube channel. We thank you for sending your loving energy, over the waves of the universe, because we absolutely do feel them here and it makes a difference. I also want to ask now, is there anybody here for the first time? Any first-time visitors? We have somebody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are grateful for whatever the impetus was, whatever the reasons were that caused you to come and check us out. I promise you we will be nice to you, and anybody will answer your questions, and I am available. I'm Reverend Mike. I'm the minister here. I will be available if you have any questions that you wish to ask of me after the service. And also, if you have not yet done so, I encourage you to sign our guest book. I promise you will not be inundated with all kinds of nuisance emails or anything like that. And please consider continuing after the service by joining us for hospitality downstairs. You will not go away hungry, okay? So I think that covers most of the business. And before we, no, I didn't forget. Because I started to say, before we move on with the reading of the daily word, there's another factor, because it's the first Sunday of the month. It is Birthday Sunday. So anybody celebrating a birthday during the month of April, please come forward so that we may bless you. Don't be bashful. All right, let's do it. Happy birthday
To you. Whoops. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you're wonderful. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you, you're wonderful. God is blessing you now.
We celebrate birthdays and all kinds of other good things, which is proper and right for any family to do. So, happy birthday. And now, waiting in the wings is our prayer chaplain, Wanda Fay, who is going to share with us today's daily word reading.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. But before that, Let's just get some thanks for all the liquid sunshine out there, because as we continue in this whole vein of resurrection, we know that this rain is resurrecting a different and new life. We're going to have wonderful and delicious fruits and vegetables coming our way, so don't curse the rain. Bless it. Bless it. Because God is where? In everything and everywhere present, and even in us. So divine order continues, and that happens to be our daily word today. Divine order. I see divine order expressing everywhere. I delight in the glorious colors, fragrances, the arrangements of plants in the garden. I celebrate the imagination, the meticulous planning, and the diligent work that transformed a patch of ground, some seeds, water, and fertilizer into a beautiful, life-filled place. I recognize the role of divine order in the creation of this garden, expressing through everyone who worked to bring it into being. It began as an idea in divine mind. Someone received the idea. Cooperating minds developed a plan. Willing hands prepared the soil, planted seeds, then watered and tended the growing plants. My spiritual vision perceives divine order, the eternal dance of mind, idea, and manifestation expressing everywhere. And to support the reading of this daily word, we're going to take a look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 31. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. You're good, beautiful people. You are good. Happy Sunday. Good morning.
You know, there's an epilogue to that. After God created everything, and everybody, the angel said, "What are you going to do now?" And God said, "I think I'll call it a day." Please join me now in praying the Spirit's unfolding vision prayer. Guided by divine wisdom, inspired by divine imagination, centered in divine love, and knowing that God is our source, we boldly move forth in faith as we allow Spirit's expanding vision to unfold in our lives, the life of the spiritual community, and our world. Thank you, God. Amen. And now I ask you to please return to your feet and join in singing and praying the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Please take a seat. And now we get to bless our children. I invite our children and their sponsors to please come forward so that we may do that. All right, let's do this. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things.
I am
Walking in the light,
in the light, in the light. I am walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. If you think you've seen it all, if you think you've seen it all, stick around. There's a lot we've lost, but so much more we found. If you think you got it all, if you think you got it all, you got it wrong. There's more in store, the best is yet to come. If you think you've seen it all, stick around, stick around. If you think you've seen it all, stick around, stick around. Let us boldly go where only those with open hearts can go, where words aren't spoken and time is golden and love's blindfolding us with hope, and we stay honest and keep our promises, keep evolving, keeping on this. All we have to do is hold on, and love will do the rest. All we have to do is hold on and take another breath. If you think you've heard it all, if you think you've heard it all, I'll say it again. God's love for you will never, ever end. If you think you've seen it all, stick around, around if you think you've seen it all. Stick around if you think you've seen it all. We're just getting started. Yeah. Let's go.
Thank you, Kitty. And as wonderful as that was, and it truly was wonderful, we still need the members of the music team, okay? So don't get too comfy, please, as you're sitting there taking this all in. I'm a little bit nervous about my opening story because I shared it with a couple of my censors, and one of them said, "Oh, yeah, that's you, Reverend Mike. You got to tell that story." And the other one kind of went, "Eh." But we're going to, life is all about taking risks and chances. So we're all familiar with the story of Cinderella. But there's a sequel to the story that I'm going to share with you, and it takes place many, many years after the fantastic ball and the wedding to the Prince Charming and all of that. And at this point in time, the prince has long ago made his transition. He has passed away. And Cinderella is sitting in a small house, and the fairy godmother says, "I'm going to go and pay her a visit." And poof, she appears in front of Cinderella. And they exchange pleasantries and all of that. And the fairy godmother says, "Cinderella, you have always been one of my favorites, so now I'm going to grant you 3 wishes. Anything you want." And so Cinderella thinks, and she says, "Well, I've just about exhausted all of the funds left over from the prince. I really would like to be financially secure." And poof, just like that, the rocking chair that she was sitting in became made of solid gold. And the fairy godmother said, "And what is your second wish?" She said, "Okay, maybe this is selfish, but I really would like to restore my youth. I want to return to the woman that I was when I was 18 years old and met the prince." And poof, just like that, she was once again beautiful and gorgeous. And then the fairy godmother said, "And your third wish?" And Cinderella pointed to the corner where her cat, Ellen, was sleeping. And she said, "I would like you to transform my cat, Ellen, into a gorgeous young man." And poof, just like that, the cat was transformed into this absolutely stunning young man, a real Adonis, who walked up to Cinderella, looked her in the eyes and said, "You know, I'm thinking long about now, you really regret the decision to have me neutered." I reassured one of my censors that there wouldn't be any children in the congregation when I told them. But more important, it's on topic today, okay? We spend so much time, when you think about it, writing stories, telling stories, especially to our children and to our grandchildren, and stories that we heard when we were children. Okay, most of them fairy tales that shared a common ending. The last line, was always, "And they lived happily ever after." But just like in the silly joke that I told, that is not a given. That is something that is not automatic. It always doesn't happen that they lived happily ever after. because that mechanism is used in the story to signal the end of something. And it suggests something that is static and unchanging. But in real life, every story is followed by another story. Every story has an epilogue. You know, and an epilogue is a device, a literary device that you find in novels. And at the very end, it ties up all of the loose ends. And so it really describes what happens after something had already taken place, something that had already happened. It's like the final word, except that in real life, the final word is never the final word. Because things happen, change happens, life goes on, and new things have to be dealt with all of the time. And yes, we all know Cinderella isn't the only one that would have aged over the course of whatever. Look around. Okay. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. So last week I stood here on Easter Sunday and I told all of you that I suggested that I thought Easter was the single most significant holiday to be celebrated. And I said this because it represented the ultimate victory. The victory over death itself. And I shared with you that really what Easter was about a new and elevated consciousness. And I also boldly said, and if you embrace that Easter consciousness and you set out to do something, you absolutely cannot fail. Pretty bold statement. And what I share with you this morning is I'm sticking by my guns. That is absolutely, positively the truth. But that epilogue to that story becomes a prologue. Because when you engage in that Easter awareness, that Easter consciousness, there's work to do. There are other things that unfold. And there are other things about which you're going to have to make significant decisions in your life. There are things that are going to cause you, if you're serious about your spiritual growth and transformation and progress, you are going to have to roll up your spiritual sleeves and do the work. Way back in 1849, a French writer, and I apologize because I don't remember his name, but he gave us the phrase that we probably have all heard: the more that things change, the more they stay the same. And there seems to be an awful lot of wisdom to that, because if you look at the world in which we're living, you know, we have a situation in the Middle East in which tens of thousands of people have been killed or left homeless, and it's not over yet. And we have a war in the Ukraine that is going on, and it's really more of the same, a lot of death and devastation and destruction. And in our own country, you know, we still I've reached a point as of April 1st in which the number of mass shootings in the United States have surpassed the number of days on the calendar that we have lived through so far. And we still have hunger in the world. And bringing it even closer to home, everybody that's sitting here understands that at some point we lose people, we deal with grief, we deal with situations that we have to deal with. But still, there's a wisdom in that saying, because I'm guessing in this past week, Easter week, that for most of us, if not all of us, it's a week that in many ways was not unlike every other week. We still got up, we set an alarm, because we had to get up and we had to go to work. And we all have our routines that we return to and fell into. We all have had to prepare dinner. We have all had to eat dinner. But let me try to put this concept together with another one, a very ancient Zen Proverbs. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. I like that word enlightenment, by the way. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's an acknowledgement that there are just things that we have to deal with all of the time on a routine basis, okay? And if you don't brush them, your teeth are going to rot, okay? But that's not the point. Because this whole business of living happily ever after becomes a reality only in the sense in which you truly embrace and embed the whole Easter enlightenment within you. Because if you just look at the surface of things, there's not much that there's a heck of a lot of difference going on in the world. But the point is, nothing becomes different until you become different. Because if you truly embraced the Easter enlightenment, the Easter consciousness, the Easter awareness, it's at that point that doing the dishes becomes sacred. It's at that point that taking out the garbage becomes holy. Why? Because when you are living in the Easter consciousness, you are living truly, at least in part, and it's a process. I always want to remind people, be patient, it's a process, but you are living in at least a foot in the kingdom of God that our way shower Jesus spoke about. And when you are living in that kingdom, you are embraced, embedded in an awareness that you have the power to bless absolutely everything and anything that is going on in the world and that is going on in your life. And yes, we are going to continue to deal with problems. And yes, we are going to get hungry, and there are going to be hungry people. And yes, we're going to lose people that we love, people that we care about. And it's going to really hurt. But only you can decide then what the prologue of your life is going to be from that point on. One of my favorite books of the scriptures is the book that immediately follows the Gospels. It's the Act of the Apostles. It's a book that's really properly named because that's what it's really about, the Act of the Apostles. And if you put this into context, here these guys were sitting around, on the heels of the resurrection. And in the very first chapter, they have to go about the business of life. And they do something right away, coming out in that first chapter. They elect a replacement for Judas the traitor. Do you know why? Anybody know why they had to do this? To bring their number back to 12? It's a very significant connection with an ultimate historical truth. There were 12 apostles precisely because there were 12 tribes of Israel. And in unity, we have and celebrate and teach and preach 12 powers. Do you think that Charles Fillmore did that by accident? You'd think that, why 12 instead of 10 or 14 or 17 or whatever? And it's because when you move along on your spiritual journey, just as if you were taking a trip to Europe or to someplace else, you're going to pack up and take with you those necessities. Okay? And so as we discover and we embark upon new horizons and new opportunities and new truths, we don't throw any babies out with the bathwater. We still take with us those things that are really, significant in our lives, those previous realities that we have discovered, the previous love that we have been given, the previous love that we have shared, because it's an intrinsic part of who and what we are. But if you go on a little bit in the Acts, in the second chapter, it also communicates, and we'll get into this more when we talk about Pentecost later in the season. These guys were absolutely petrified and trying to figure out exactly what was theirs to do and how is this all going to unfold. This was not a happily ever after moment for these guys. And if you read a little bit further, there were big questions, because the fact of the matter is that early church, that very infant stage of Christianity, it really consisted of, for all intents and purposes, was yet another Jewish sect. And so they had great debates and arguments and fights among them. Do we open the doors to Gentiles? Do we let somebody else into this club, or do we want to keep it exclusive? Even to the point of saying, well, okay, if we let them in, are we going to have to, do they have to be circumcised or what? This is all very real stuff. And again, they're coming from a resurrection consciousness. And they understood the concept that they had to roll up their sleeves and get to work. And it wasn't all pleasant. There were confrontations between Peter and the Apostle Paul. It's all very real. And it really marries those two concepts of, the more things change, the more they stay the same, along with before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine got a new job, a promotion. And I ran into him 6 months after that, and I said, hey, how's it going? And he said, so-so. He said, I got a raise, which was really nice. I also learned that I was still responsible for 90% of what I had been responsible for before, plus a whole bunch of other things were added to my plate. So if you measure it out, I'm actually making less per hour now than I was then. And I said, okay, are you happy? And he said, not yet, but I'm working on it. And many years ago, when my first grandson came into the world, I got a phone call from my son-in-law, Tim. And I answered the phone, and I said, what's going on? And he said, how could you and your wife be so irresponsible? I said, what are you talking about? He says, how could you let your newborn grandson that I know that you just love so much, how could you leave him in the hands of two people who don't know what they're doing? But it's true. It's true. There has to be an epilogue to the story. And that epilogue, it doesn't put anything into final resolution because it really becomes a prologue in many, many different ways. We have another episode in our country, I'm sure we've all heard the story about the bridge getting hit and collapsing, in the port of Baltimore. Aside from this costing an incredible amount of money, there's a resurrection to the story. There's absolutely no doubt. It's going to take money, it's going to take time. But a new bridge will be constructed. It will be better than the other bridge because it will have more modern technology to it. It will use materials that are better suited for the job. It will be stronger in every way. But that's not the end of the story. That new bridge is going to have to be of service. It's going to have to allow for people moving in completely opposite directions to span across and to connect. I really like this as a metaphor for what is ours to do. I think that we really are called to be new bridges. And we have to do the prayer work, the meditation work, to come to an understanding, what are the right materials for me to be able to do this? We all want the big problems to be solved. We would all like, I think, for the political polarity in our country to come to an end. We would all like to see harmony. We would all like to see love shared. We would all like to live in a world in which nobody's hungry and that we all go to bed at night really enjoying the fullness of peace. But that old expression of be the change that you want the world to be is so very true. This business of happily ever after, nobody can dictate that for you. That's on you. That's on me. That's on all of us. What are we going to do with the pieces that are remaining in front of us now? Are we going to pick them up and build bridges of compassion and love and caring in the world? Are we going to build bridges that are not made out of resentment or anger or frustration or grudges? Or are we going to use girders that really speak in a way that's consistent with the entire Easter message? Because if we do that, I reaffirm, we cannot fail, despite any and all appearances to the contrary. We really and truly are an alleluia people. And so I would suggest for you to consider, don't look at this as a time of living happily ever after. Instead, embrace this time, accept this time as your once upon a time. And we handle it in prayer and meditation.
is well. I can rest. I am safe. All is well. 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 Alleluia. Alleluia. Hallelujah.
I invite you now, please join me in embracing and creating an Alleluia moment. I just ask you to feel as relaxed as you possibly can and feel your feet firmly planted on the solid ground and the support of the chairs that you're sitting in, and take a nice deep inhale, and then slowly let it out and exhale. And follow it up with another. And let it out again. Allow that breathing, your breathing, to become the cadence, your rhythm, which keeps you focused. And if you get distracted, if those crazy nuisances and problems want to interfere with this prayerful moment, return to your breathing. And in that breathing, know it's true. You really are an Alleluia people. We are an Alleluia people. And it's really true that we are not separate and apart from God. That's impossible. That we instead are immersed in spirit. Not only are we surrounded by spirit, we are home to spirit. A spirit that dwells, that is the light of our souls. The spirit that dwells within, that is the beating of our hearts. The spirit that dwells within, which bridges our hearts to our heads. A spirit that reminds us that we have a wonderful, glorious, spectacular job to do. And that is to live our lives in a way that proclaims the Easter message over and over and over again. And so we take time now very deliberately in a very focused way to listen to that still small voice within. If we don't force it, if we just let it be, we will hear words that are in divine order and unique to each and every one of us. What is ours to do is the question that we ask, with an openness that nothing is too mundane, nothing is too common, because inspired by Spirit, we raise it all up to the rare. to that which is truly sacred, that which is truly holy. And so I invite you at this time, take these moments to come of silence, and just listen to the wonder of who and what you are. Again, in a time of silence. And now I invite you to return to this space, this room, this sanctuary. Reacquaint yourself with the surroundings. Be conscious of the person next to you or those seated around you. Maybe with a sense of joy, knowing that you are immersed in a truly realistic spiritual family. And we affirm positively and aggressively even that we are an hallelujah people, a people that is committed to love in all and any circumstances. A people who return from the silence with a knowing that we are the joy and we are the love and we are the peace that we so desperately crave. And always to remember that in the kingdom of God, we always are home. And loving Spirit, for this time this morning, for this opportunity to join together, to come together, for whatever reasons. We walked through the church doors this morning. We celebrate that. We celebrate the realization of your active participation in our life. We celebrate the direction that you constantly feed to us. We celebrate the calling and the way in which you beckon to us every single moment of every single day in our lives. And we celebrate it all because we recognize through it all, truly we are blessed. Truly we are loved. Truly we are the resurrection and the life. Thank you, sweet Spirit. And so it is. Amen and alleluia. Thank you again, Kitty, so much. Now it's time for our love offering, our sacrament of giving and receiving. Thank you so much for your contributions, your dollars and your cents that, just keep the engines running here. It means so much. But thank you even more for your individual and collective affirmations that we are committed to being happily ever after. And we will show up and really give of ourselves in a way that mirrors and reflects that. So please join me now in praying our affirmations. God is my instant, constant, abundant source of supply, and divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all the good that I am, I have, I give, and I receive. Divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all the good that we are, we have, we give, and we receive. Laura and Mary, thank you so much. What a wonderful gift to share with us. Thank you. Really grateful. It was gorgeous. We have some announcements. Ta-da! Okay. Our first one is our healing and wholeness service is an affirmation of our wholeness and good health through songs and prayers. Please join us Friday evening to participate in this beautiful, beautiful service. Our volunteer appreciation dinner is set for Friday, April 19th. If you have volunteered this past year in any way, and I suggest that some of you probably have volunteered and you're not even aware of it, but please sign up and let us honor you. Stop by the registration desk to RSVP. Please keep bringing in your items for the garage sale, which is now around the corner. The last day to donate is Sunday, April 21st. If you need a list of items that we can accept, you can get that list at the welcome desk. Also, we need volunteers. Don't look left or right. We need volunteers to help with a variety of tasks. Please write your name on the poster to volunteer for this big fundraiser. And the board is asking everyone to stop by the tables right outside the conference room. They are doing an activities survey. This is the last week of the survey, so please sign up for what you may be interested in. Signing your name does not commit you to anything. It just says, yeah, this might be of interest. This is just, if you have any questions, please stop and talk to any of our board members. And we have one announcement here that Reverend Jan, I'm asking you to please come forward and share with the congregation.
Most of you know Donna Carter's memorial is this Saturday, and we could use a little help. Number one, if any of you have an artist's easel that we could borrow for the service, please let me know. We would really appreciate that. And the other thing is, since Friday is the healing service, we won't really have time to set up for the Saturday service, which is at 2, right?
2.
2. So if anyone is available to help do a little setup Saturday morning about 10 o'clock, please come let me know. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Jan. So now it's time for our congregational blessing. I invite you to stand, turn to one another, or look across the aisle and join in the blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you, and know that you are empowered to do great things. And now while you're standing, please join in our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now let's sing out to our peace song, loud and strong.
Oh, let's try that again. Where are you, Rose? Let there be peace on earth